What's going on, guys? Welcome to Titans Time. We're coming off a week where the Titans have been really active in free agency, just like every other team in the NFL. I mean, they've been releasing some players.
Heads are still rolling.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, it's been like just an absolute slaughter out for every single team. They're trying to clear up cap space because of COVID, and that's affecting the cap, and it's just crazy, honestly.
Still waiting on some maybe restructures on Titans contracts, but not looking like we're gonna get that.
Well, we hope maybe, but yeah, like you said, it doesn't look like it.
Well, I mean, when you're seeing other teams, this guy's restructuring, this guy, and a lot of them are top guys. You're like, oh, okay, Titans.
Let's show some of the. Come on. I mean, show you want to win. Show you want to have.
Saffold even said that he would be up for restructuring.
Yeah, what are they doing? I mean, if a guy says he's down for restructuring, why are you not going and doing that? He said he's down for it. I don't understand. But they've made some signings. They've made 3 major signings, in my opinion. And that's Denico Autry, Janoris Jenkins, and the big guy on the edge, Bud Dupree. I mean, this is a guy.
Is that what you're going to start calling him? The big guy?
The big guy. I mean, he's not bigger than Denico Autry, but he's a big name, and
yeah, but he brings that hit power.
He plays like a big guy, so
people know when they get hit by him.
This is a guy. Before we even started our podcast or our YouTube channel, any of our Titans related content before we started putting that out, this is a guy last offseason that we were talking about. We wanted him to be a Titan, and now he is. He's coming off of an ACL injury. But let's talk about Bud Dupree first and foremost, because he is the biggest name in my opinion.
He is, and I have seen some people being like, well, what's he going to do whenever he doesn't have Watt on the other side of the line from him? Because they were saying, oh, well, a lot of his pressures maybe come from him not getting blocked because people were focused on Watt, this and that. Look, I watched, some of his highlights, obviously, like we do with a lot of guys that the Titans bring in, sign, trade for. We're like, all right, immediately go into the highlights. Let's see. And like you said, he's a big guy coming off the edge, strong. You can't just put one guy on him. He's going to bully him, get around, get pressure on the quarterback. Like I said, teams definitely better not let him have a free shot at the quarterback, because he brings the hit power, and he's going to stamp him into the ground.
Exactly.
So I'm really excited about this, even though he's coming off the ACL injury. I think he tore it in December. But, if I remember correctly, the Titans signed him to a multi-year deal. So,
well, and here's the thing. ACL injuries nowadays, if you take 10 years ago, it would have been a much bigger deal.
Exactly.
Nowadays, with, the modern, practices and medicines that these sports doctors have, it's not that big. Now, listen, they're going to be out for a while, but it's not that big of a deal. Players can come back from these injuries now and be, what they were and better.
I think the Achilles injury has now become like the new ACL.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because
that's definitely harder to come back from.
Yeah, it's more detrimental. Whereas ACL, like you said, they've kind of learned over the years what they can do better as far as like the surgeries, everything else. As far as the recovery for the players, used to it would be like over a year for a player to come back, and now you're talking about, you're not knocking much time off of that, but 8-9 months.
Right.
Which can be big.
And if you're Jeffery Simmons, even quicker, because you're just a beast. So now let's talk about that a little bit. He's going to be on a defensive line that, in my opinion, is a lot much. They're just so much more improved from last season. Even
with Dupree coming off the injury and everything, I feel so much better about our free agent signings for our defensive line help this year than I did last year. I'm going to say, when we first started out talking about Jadeveon Clowney, neither one of us were real big on bringing him in.
Especially, right at the beginning of the offseason, not specifically, when it got down to it and a lot of the other edge guys were gone, we've got to have somebody, here's Jadeveon Clowney. He's good. He's got some talent.
Well, not just that, but we bought into more of the hype of bringing him in, heard some good arguments about why, hey, he would be a good addition to the Titans. So we kind of changed our narrative and we bought in on that. Right. But whenever his name was first mentioned, we were like, he's kind of injury prone. He
disappears.
He doesn't go as hard on every play as he could. Like, he doesn't give it his all. And sure enough, he got injured. We've seen him take some plays off. But Dupree, even though he's going to be coming off this injury, he gives it everything he has every single
Dupree
down.
reminds me of Vic Beasley. If Vic Beasley lived up to his stop. Hey,
don't say
no.
that.
Listen, just hear me out. If Vic Beasley lived up to his full potential and showed up for training camp, this is what he would have been. This is what he would have become. I think. Listen, we have.
But I am sorry if you ever see this.
Listen. I think it's a really good compliment because Vic Beasley had so much potential, and I mean for that 1 year he was probably one of the best pass rushers in the league, and now we're seeing Bud Dupree become one of those elite pass rushers, and he is what Vic Beasley could have been if he lived up to his full potential. I mean, Bud Dupree with Denico Autry, Jeffery Simmons, and Harold Landry. What is that going to look like? I mean, I think that the Titans are finally getting to that point where they can get into man coverage and they can have a 4-man rush that can get to the quarterback.
I think so too. I'm just happy that now Jeffery Simmons isn't going to have to be dealing with triple teams all the time. Because, I mean, teams are really going to have to focus on several different guys from all aspects of the line. So right. I'm really excited about what this is going to do for our pass rush.
I mean, speaking of them having to focus on several different guys, you've now got Bud Dupree, who has had 19.5 sacks over the last 2 years. And you've got to take into account the ACL injury.
Yeah, I'm about to say, he got hurt because he was probably on pace to have his career high in sacks.
Which would have been over 11.5. And he ended up with 8 anyways, which is still a pretty decent season.
How many games did he actually get to play?
He played 11 games. So, I mean, if he gets, 5 more games of play and then playoffs, which obviously playoffs don't go into that. But
even then, 5 more games of play, he had 8 sacks this year before he got hurt. So
you're looking at maybe, 12, 13.
Yeah, a sack a game, and, he's showing a couple of consistent years with double-digit sacks.
And then you've got Denico Autry, who they also added, and I don't think we know specific numbers on any of these guys yet as far as cap.
I don't believe so yet because, the team is still going to be working to try and make sure that they have as much money as they can for possible other free agents this year. Bears just released their cornerback Fuller.
I mean, just to give you kind of a time frame of where we're at right now, that just happened.
Yeah, Titans, come on now.
Don't
let us down.
Right now happened. But Denico Autry, over the past 3 seasons, has had 20 sacks, which is, I don't know, I can't really do the math that fast, but I think I put it out on Twitter. It was like
just
6.5 or just under 7 sacks per season. So I mean, these guys are going to bring some pressure. I mean, I think with Bud Dupree, it's probably going to be elite. With Denico Autry, it's not going to be elite, but it's going to be there.
And with Autry, even if he's not the one getting the sack, he helps others get there because he creates some disruption. He, pulls guys to him, and it opens things up for other people.
And I want to speak some more about what this is going to do for Harold Landry. I mean, hopefully this is going to open some things up for him because, he wasn't quite what we wanted to see last season. He was, he was decent. But, I mean, what do you think is this? I can't talk.
Today, Junior?
What do you think that this is going to do for him?
I think it's going to open some things up for him. We still need some more depth, though.
Yeah,
because, the thing going into last year was, okay, we don't want Harold Landry playing
so many snaps,
but yet he played so many snaps. So, we still need some more depth.
I mean, we're still going to have Derek Roberson, right?
Think so. I can't remember for sure. I would have to.
I don't want to spread any false information, but I feel like we're still going to have Derek Roberson. I believe Tazar Skipper. I believe they signed him back to some sort of deal.
Can't remember for sure.
Anyways, regardless.
We've been so focused on these big names, I can't remember exactly on some of these other guys.
It's just these guys are the Titans are trying to rebuild their defense.
They are.
That's what it seems like to me. They saw last season that what they were doing was 100% not working. They're trying to rebuild it, and they're trying to be that man team that can get to you with 4 people and just lock you down. Hopefully, they can be that.
Look, after last season with how bad the defense was, people wanted something done.
Right.
Didn't know. Obviously knew we needed a better pass rush. Needed some corners. A lot of people, including us, were saying, hey, Adoree, out the door.
Exactly.
And we kind of got shocked at first because the first cornerback out the door was Malcolm Butler.
Right.
And then finally seen the news break that they released Adoree along with Dennis Kelly, which getting rid of Dennis Kelly I wasn't necessarily too big on, just because he played really well for us last year. He's been a really good depth piece for us before, and I thought, okay, even if he's not starting for us, if he's just that depth piece, I like him being there.
Right. But now we've got Kendall Lamm, and there's also Aaron Brewer who filled in really, really good last season as a depth piece.
And Ty Sambralo is going to be back.
Another thing that I was going to mention, he's going to be back. So there's some depth there. I don't think they're finished. They might grab a guy in the draft, or they might still add a piece here or there. I don't think they're finished. But to be this man team, go ahead.
Speaking of the draft, and look, you have your path to the draft videos that you're doing, so I'll let you dive more into that on there. But I do still think that we see the Titans maybe grab another edge or 2 in the draft to add to that depth.
Okay. I would be happy with just 1. I don't know if they necessarily need to go out and get 2, because there are some other things that they still haven't addressed in free agency. Wide receiver, still need another cornerback. Obviously, we're talking about Kyle Fuller. But, to be this man team, they got to have people that can cover. Mm-hmm. And right now, they have Janoris Jenkins, who they just signed. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of experience back there. So, Janoris Jenkins, he's solid. He's not going to, be elite or anything.
His man coverage is good. He does, this past year he did get called for a lot of pass interference. And I think that's kind of been a little bit of a problem throughout his career. But he still has really good speed. He's good in man coverage.
I have a question.
He's a kind of little nervous to say this because, we kind of said it maybe about Jonathan Joseph before, where he could be a good veteran presence. But just looking at the tape from Jenkins last year, I think we're better off. I don't think he is another Jonathan Joseph.
Well, here's why I'm going to say he's not. This is what I was about to ask you. I have a little question for you. Okay. Would you rather have a guy that doesn't get as many pass interference calls, like kind of maybe like Jonathan Joseph, because they're not being aggressive, or would you rather a guy get an extra call here and there because he's being aggressive, he's actually on his man, he's not playing 15 yards off because he's being aggressive, trying to break up passes, trying to get interceptions?
Hell to the yeah.
What would you rather have there?
I would rather have the aggressive play, and even with a lot of these free agent signings that the Titans have made, I like the attitude that these guys bring.
Right.
Because it's not just sit back, okay, I'm scared to do it. No, they have this attacking mindset. Autry even come out and said in his presser today that he's excited to play the Colts next year for the 2 games because, he feels like they let go of a good thing that they had. Well, so
I kind of feel like they did, because any time that they played against the Titans, he was a force.
Mm-hmm.
He always had good games against the Titans. But Jenkins, he is going to be a veteran presence. He's had 26 interceptions in his career. The past 2 seasons, he's had 4 and 3. He's been playing pretty decent. He's getting up there in age. He's 32, maybe going on 33. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because I think that they're going to be getting a guy out of the draft. They have Christian Fulton. They need an older guy there that's been there, done that, to, you know, kind of show these guys the way.
I agree. I mean, so far I like the Jenkins signing. I still want the Titans to add another. They either need to. No, they still need to add another wide receiver in free agency.
I believe so, 100%.
I don't want it to be two younger guys from the draft that they're throwing out there with A.J. Brown for the receiving core. They still need to sign a good one. But also, as far as corner goes, I mean, we've seen how you can get down into your depth. And while I think we have some okay guys for our depth at corner, I'd still like to see another big cornerback sign.
You got to pick up some more guys so that those guys aren't the starters by the time the season comes around.
So,
yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. Okay, so those are the three major free agents that the Titans have signed. But now they've also went out and brought some guys back. Anthony Ferkser, Jeff Swain, at tight end, and which, I like those guys. I thought they were going to kind of make a bigger splash at tight end, but they didn't bring Janu back. But those guys are solid. I mean, I like that.
I think they're still in talks with like Pruitt to see if he's.
I'd be fine with that too. I think that little, three-headed monster there at tight end could sufficiently fill that role.
Definitely think it's going to be more of a kind of tight end by committee. But I was really glad that they brought Ferkser back. He turned into our guy on third down.
Absolutely.
That was going to pick up that first down for us. Reliable hands. Runs good routes. I mean, like we've said before, the only thing he's missing is the speed.
Yeah, for sure.
But, I'm glad to see those guys back.
And then also, the guy that took the team-friendly deal, Jayon Brown, coming off of a completely, broken and just terrible-looking injury to his elbow. I felt so bad for that guy when that happened.
Because he started out the season kind of rough. He was having a little bit tougher go. It wasn't the Jayon that we had, seen before. And then he finally starts hitting his stride more, and he's picking up his play and gets injured. Dirty block by Ravens guy. I mean, he was going to hurt him.
And even though I got him mixed up with some other guys and thought it was a leg injury, doesn't discount it any. It's definitely still a bad thing. I mean, he's got so much potential, and he was finally starting to hit his stride last season because early in the season, like I've told you before, I was not impressed with him at all. Still not impressed with Sean Evans.
And, the thing we talked about even at the end of the season, and, another video we made where we were talking about guys that we could see the Titans letting go of. We thought that Jayon would be a guy that they let walk because, I mean, let's face it, his play has been good enough that his value would have been more than what we would have wanted the Titans to pay for him.
Right.
But then seeing this news break of him taking basically a 1-year prove-it deal for $5.25 million, you're like, okay, as a lot of people said, Jayon's for the boys. I mean, he's coming back to this team, and I was really excited to see him coming back, especially on a team-friendly deal like that.
Here's what I'll say about it. I think that coming off of the injury and all of the linebackers that kind of flooded the market there, I think that he wasn't able to get to quite the numbers that he wanted. And he could have signed a deal with the team, but then he's locked into a deal where he might not. It would, probably would have been a decent contract, but it's not quite where he wanted. So come back on a team-friendly deal in a system that he knows, so that he doesn't have to learn something else and potentially go through some growing pains with another team. Come back to a system he knows on a cheaper deal and have an incredible season. And then next year, I wouldn't expect for him to be back because I think that he's going to come out and just really try to blow people away and then go get paid.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we could probably see him come back next year.
If they
next
pay him.
Offseason. But here was the big thing for us going into this offseason. we knew the salary cap was dropping.
Right.
And we knew that the Titans were going to have to let some guys walk. And, I mean, that's just how it is. But these next upcoming seasons, I expect that the salary cap's probably going to go back up. And when it goes up, it's going to shoot up.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think if we
skyrocket.
see a dramatic increase, he definitely could be a guy, if he's playing well, that, gets paid by the Titans. I mean, big
Right.
time. Because at this point, I think you're going to have to choose between him and Rashaan Evans at some point. It could be this offseason, could be next. But I'm taking him over Rashaan Evans because as good as Rashaan Evans is on the goal line, you got to have more than just a guy that can play well on the goal line.
Well, and you don't see Jayon getting these stupid penalties
Exactly.
called. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no easy way. There's no way to sugarcoat that or anything. I mean, it was stupid penalties
You're right.
this past season, and you don't see Jayon doing that.
Right.
So I could see the Titans, if the salary cap does shoot up next year, giving Jayon another, especially if he plays well. And, as long as he doesn't get hurt, anything like that, I could see them giving him a good deal and keeping him around for, a couple more years.
Yeah. So now, as far as the way that the team looks right now, where do you see things going? And what do you want to happen, throughout the rest of the offseason? I mean, leading up to the draft, what would be the ideal things, ideal positions that they would add to and build up a little bit?
I mean, we've already talked about corner and receiver.
I agree.
Our offensive line is set, quarterback set, running back set, fullback
Is running back set though? I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean,
all these positions are set. I'm fine with the tight ends that we have, but receiver, even as great as AJ Brown is,
nobody can be a good receiver on a double team, except for Megatron. I mean,
but as great as AJ Brown is, he's going to need more help than what he has
Megatron
right now. So we need to see a number 2 receiver signed.
all they need is a veteran guy that can. I mean, he doesn't have to be anything. He does not have to be elite. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just a guy that is reliable, a veteran guy that can take the double team away, and then add a rookie in there. I mean,
and that's pretty much where I'm at. And as far as corner goes, like I said, add another solid corner,
right?
and then draft another young guy, and go from that. Like, that's where I feel like the Titans need to go with it. And, if before a lot of these other receivers got signed and other corners got signed by teams, maybe if the Titans could have got them, we could have seen them either, trade up for a better tight end or maybe trade back. We could have possibly seen some other moves, but, that's all looking into the past. Just right now, we need more corner and receiver help.
Yeah, I agree. And, right now the path seems pretty clear, but, always with the Titans, and I'm sure every other fan base is like this too, something always happens and things don't go according to plan.
Well, here's the thing. Going into this offseason, it has become very obvious that J-Rob said, don't like what happened on defense last year. We are for sure focusing on the defense this year and going to try and turn this defense around.
I'm okay if the offense is not what it was last year, as long as the defense is, noticeably better.
Right.
I'm okay with a little bit of regression offensively if we can just not get 50 million points scored on us every game.
If teams can't score on us, you don't have to be in that shootout putting up 30-plus points a game.
It was so painful to watch last season. It was just, at times I couldn't even watch it. It was so bad.
I kept watching it, but my nerves were shot.
Yeah, it's got to be at least a little bit better, right? It's got to be at least a little bit better.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. Is there anything else you got?
I think that's all.
Well, all right, guys, make sure that you're keeping up with us on social media. The two that we're most active on is Twitter and Facebook. On Twitter, it's Titans_time, and on Facebook, it's Titans Time. We're also on Instagram, Titans Time Podcast. And check out our website, titanstimepodcast.com.
If you haven't already, make sure you go down, hit that subscribe button, turn on the post notifications. Trying to get to anywhere from 800 to 1,000 subscribers. Man, can't talk. Before the end of the year. And we really appreciate everyone who subscribes to us, and hopefully, you're sharing the videos with other people, telling them to subscribe. Make sure you go down and hit the like button too, and leave us some comments. Let us know your thoughts on these free agent signings that the Titans have already done, and some other people that you would like to see them bring in.
Like he said, make sure you go down and hit that subscribe button, like button, and comment, because those things actually do help. And, we can tell a noticeable difference whenever there's more likes and more comments on our videos. It really does help out. This has been Titans Time, and as always, tighten up.